that all the fishes we have in this country, over 500 of them, 293 that I described, are all edible.
Okay.
That is one. Two, the technologies we have, we can actually harvest the fish and make it available, or by catching it. And even when there is no source of water, we made sure that you can actually grow the fish in a pond, in a tank, even in your backyard. So the uptake is there, and of course there are a bit of delays in uptake of technologies.
Okay.
But we have to embrace the fact that acceptance and cultural aspects in terms of consumption of fish are also there. But across the regions or the lake communities, if we use Lake Victoria, for example, we have over 420 landing sites just on Lake Victoria in the Ugandan part. So there's be direct employment, there will be direct consumption, and also uptake into the factories. Of course, the demand for fish going to factories and going for export has been going down because of decline of Nile perch stocks. And we have also done research to ensure that management of Nile perch is done. So we use our uptake channel of agriculture technology promotions to see that the technologies we work on as NAFIRI are actually taken up at different levels, at the district, at the sub-counties.
I was actually going to ask you about the technology. It is something you have mentioned a number of times.
Yes.
When we say technology in the fishing industry, what exactly are we talking about?
So, for example, I'll go small by small, like let's say mukene.
Yes.
The technology of harvesting it, we have the traditional method of just using a net around, but there's also a lift net technology where you encircle the fish and get tons and tons. But then you have harvested it. You have to dry it. Remember, we have weather changes. So the next technology, for example, of managing its quality, that is a post-harvest, we have a solar tent dryer.
Okay.
And we also have the drying racks. Of course, we find other actors who prefer to dry it on the ground, and it is not going to be available for human consumption. Our focus should be, is it available for human consumption? And that's why we want it above ground, not on bare ground, in a structure that can actually prevent weather changes. And right now, we are working with my colleagues on the heat pump. We know that...
What is that?
We know that water on average is 25 degrees. So we want to use latent heat or hidden heat. So hidden heat, we extract that heat, use that heat to dry the fish and return the water back to the lake.
Okay.
So that is the next technology we're focusing on, that the mukene, the muziri, is actually dry. Then, of course, cold storage has been there for a long time. Processing, chilling, refrigeration and filleting and so on. And then value addition, having bagia, having soups of fish, if you've taken the noni soup. Also, in order to help with malnutrition, we are partnering with several hospitals to ensure that this mukene that most people despise are actually highly nutritious. Okay. So there is health benefits and also food security.
What areas do you think we have not tapped into as a country, in as far as food security is concerned, to take good use of the fishing industry?
Well, thank you. In this aspect, I want to bring you back that 20% of Uganda's land mass is actually water. So, and as NAFIRI, we are mandated to actually do research in all those areas. And if we go to the western end of Uganda,
Yes.
we have several small crater lakes that we can harness its potential to actually support fish production. And remember, our target as a country is 1.7 metric tons of fish. We are about 700,000 or 900. So we have actually a deficit. So if we actually do actual characterization of these water bodies, assess their potential to actually grow fish in cages, we shall actually have higher production from these water bodies. And then the current production that we have as a country, we have to protect it sustainably.
Okay.
That's where adaptive governance comes in, or policy governance research, where we guide and say, for establishment of an area, you need to protect the breeding grounds so that we have more of fish sustainably every other day. We should avoid this mentality that my grandfathers fished here, my father fished here, therefore I should fish here. So if you do not practice the best management practices, your children's children will not have that fish that your grandfathers fished. So we guide in that. Then we can accept that fish must be allowed to reproduce or to spawn.
Can it be denied? Can it be limited?
Yes, it is possible, because if we have people who are actually fishing in breeding grounds, this will be like the maternity wards of the fish. You go there and you've destroyed them, there won't be any future generation of that fish. Or you catch it before it has actually laid the eggs, or it has spawned. So if we do not protect that, we will not have sustainable fisheries production.
How would you rate our fish farming endeavors in this country?
Well, we can take it back to...
Because I've seen people that practice fish farming.
Yes.
But as somebody in that industry at a technical level, how would you rate our fish farming endeavors as a country?
I want to say that we have actually made good progress as a country. Because if we go back to the first times of 1950s, when we had over just 25,000 ponds in the whole of country, so the numbers have actually increased. We can say we have, if we go with actual figures around Buganda, Acholi, and other regions, you find that the uptake is high, but the biggest challenge is feeding this fish. Because we're taking it now as a business, we have to focus on, if we have the good seed, which we are doing, make sure that we have fast growing seed or fingerling, then it must grow. So the prices of the feed is a big challenge for upcoming farmers.
Okay.
But then on the other side is, we have embraced now cage aquaculture, where we have cages, and then we're introducing our fish. So we see that the maps, we actually, to take you a little bit, we have mapped potential sites that are suitable for cage fish farming. And people have actually taken it up. And we have at least 10 to 20 farmers that come to Nafiri, both in Jinja and Kajansi, to seek for either knowledge or the seed to go and start up aquaculture production. And of course, we also have investors that have actually come and have skyrocketed the production. I don't know if you've heard of, for example, Yalelo.
Yes.
It's a massive farm. Its production, I may not have the exact figures, but we see that in their outlets,
their brand is everywhere.
Is everywhere. So that means, one, we have the capacity as a country to sustain fish and food production. So we would encourage also other persons who are actually interested to take up fish farming. And those who are not interested in fish farming, they should take up the message that we have to protect the wild stocks, the ones in the lake, so that we also have production.
Besides the feeding that affects the prices, what other challenges do you think our farmers are facing in aquaculture?
The best management practices. So one of them is record keeping. You may find a farmer stocked 10,000 fish. Then in 2 to 3 months, the person hasn't done sampling to know how many.
I would call it a census.
Yes, a census of how many are surviving.
Census.
And then...
but how is that possible in a pond, for example, where they are running up and down? How do you do that?
You do sampling, I don't know, you drain the pond a bit, and then you find, we have those grading facilities, then you take up a few and then you sample and know that, okay, one, have they grown? You might have stocked something and they're underwater, you busy feeding and they're
get
not
stranded
growing.
there.
Yeah. So that is allowed, and you must do to check that, yes, your fish is growing. And then with time, we have challenges of fish diseases. They also fall sick. But of course, these are related to best management practices. If we don't handle our fish well, they will definitely...
How are you helping our farmers to get that information and practice it, put it to real practice in order to have the results we would desire to have them, to see them have?
Well, we should be proud as a country that we have the expertise already in the country, and we also have exhibitions that we do. We pass out this information freely, and we have people who visit Kajansi and Jinja to get free knowledge. But also we do take on during other days.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Let's take a short break, allowing our viewer to have a glimpse of this press conference that is ongoing, still related to Caadp Kampala Summit 2025.
Tucked away at the foothills of Mount Rwenzori, at an elevation of 3,461 feet above sea level, is Bundibujo town in western Uganda. With a population of 224,387, according to the 2014 national census, Bundibujo is a bustling town close to the Uganda Democratic Republic of Congo border. Here, the economy is centered around the cocoa crop, which thrives in areas with an average rainfall of between 1,500 millimeters and 2,000 millimeters. Cocoa was first introduced in Uganda in 1901, and commercial exports of the crop started in 1917. It was a main foreign exchange earner for Uganda along with coffee until its decline in the 1970s and 80s due to economic instability. While the rest of the country was on track for economic recovery during the 1990s, Bundibujo suffered additional economic setbacks due to the ADF insurgency. Today, cocoa production in Bundibujo is on an upward trend, and Uganda is ranked among the top 20 exporters of cocoa worldwide. Growing more cocoa
We thank you so much for watching. We are still bringing you live all the activities related to the Caadp Summit that is ongoing here in Uganda, and we are the host this time round. So we are taking you to a press conference.
Continentale et en œuvrant à la mise en œuvre effective de la ZRECAF, le Burundi contribue à créer les conditions